Hi everyone, welcome to the video for day 2 of the Aintree Festival. Sure you agree we had a really good day 1, big bucks winning, no surprise there, but also managed to tip up Grametti, which won, pretty impressive in the hurdle. Also got a place on Burton Port, a nice winner on Edgardo Sol, and unlucky to have a bit of a non-runner in the last, so hopefully we can carry on with day 2. I must say, day 2's card, I've been to this day of the meeting a few times. It's actually let me down a bit this year. I don't think it looks as strong as other days, but still there's winners to be had, so let's see what we can do. The 2 o'clock is the 2-mile novice hurdle. The obvious horse to look at here is Darlan. Was probably going to win if we're going to be fair. The Betfair hurdle, 2 runs to go before it fell, and then ran a cracking race behind Cinders and Ashes at Cheltenham. Seems to handle good ground, but was making all the ground up late in the day, I noticed, at Cheltenham. So whether this flatter course plays to its strengths or not, I don't know. Prospect Wells was one which stood out on that day. He was held up far too far back by Ruby Walsh before coming through with a rattling late run and just finishing out the places. I think he can finish a lot closer on this course if ridden a bit up with the pace. And I've also looked at his flat record as well, and the better ground does seem to suit. So he could be a good bet. Vulcanite was very disappointing at Cheltenham, and I think the reason behind that was that there was a lot of competition for the lead and front running, something that he likes to do. I can see the same problems coming in again today, so he could run a decent race, but I think there's going to be a lot of pace on at the front end. An interesting one as well for Nicky Henderson is Oscar Dara, something he's pronounced, I'm not 100% sure, though it looks a little bit below the class that there is of the likes of his stablemate Darlan. He could go very close. But for me, a bet of this race, I would be having a look at Prospect Wells at 9-2. Could do it each way and get a majority of money back. And I can see him occupying the first 3 along with Darlan and Vulcanite. The 2:35 is an interesting novice chase, and the horse I like here is Champion Court. He was the only horse who could lay up to Sir Deschamps at Cheltenham before tiring in the closing stages after a fine front running effort. And I think that's actually the best form on offer. I think all it was a case of there, he did try and do it, and he repelled a lot of challenges from the front. But one thing I would say is Sir Deschamps is highly thought of, not just by myself, but by proper racing people. And they really think he could be a Gold Cup horse of the future. So I think that's the best form on offer. And I think the easier track and the step up and trip should help Champion Court's jumping as well. Silvignaco Conti is the favourite for this race, though to be honest with you, he keeps on disappointing me. He's always promising so much and doesn't deliver. He might deliver today. This could be the day. Could be like an Edgardo Sol for the Nichols Yard. But I'd rather be having Champion Court on evidence of recent runs. The other horse to mention as well, also Nichols, is joined together, who got pulled up at Cheltenham and ran no sort of race. One thing I would say is he was highly thought of before Cheltenham, so especially on better ground now, he could be worth having another look at. But in terms of if I was looking for a bet, I think Champion Court at around 2-1 is a good bet for me. The 3:05 is the highlight of day 2, which is the Melon Chase, and the horse I'm going to go with here is Old Alberta's Run. After a lengthy layoff, he went straight into the Ryanair and was just touched off by Riverside Theatre. Okay, Riverside Theatre really disappointed today, but the third in that race, Medemy, made up a lot of late progress and he just finished out the placings. I think he could have easily finished in the first 3 if he was given a more positive ride. And Alberta's Run, he's won this a couple of times before. He loves the good going. He does better at this time of year, and I'm happy to go with him. Finian's Rainbow, I do think was a slightly fortuitous winner of the Champion Chase. I do honestly think if Size in Europe had to jump the last and also didn't have to take such evasive action, he wouldn't have won. And I think if Finian's Rainbow didn't win that and he got second, he wouldn't be even money 11-10 like he is now. He's a bit of a free, in the past he has been a free, okay, he seems to settle now. He has seemed to be a bit free, and even in the Ascot Chase, Barry Geraghty said he didn't finish off the race well, he pulled too hard. So only once he hasn't done it, so that's another risky option, take 11-10 about him. Pockland's worth mentioning. He was unlucky, bit his tongue, I think it was, just before the start of the race at Cheltenham and couldn't line up. But technically he's got the best piece of form on offer on his last run, which is the second to the Giant Bolster, who obviously placed in the Gold Cup. But I do have this feeling that Pockland keeps his best for Cheltenham. He's run very well here before. I remember a couple of years back he came second to the Great Money's Garden. But he might be there or thereabouts. But whether he's the same horse away from Cheltenham, we won't know. The other one to mention as well is Corto Stone, who won over this trip and similar going in Ireland on his debut very impressively. and then came second to Size in Europe in the Tingle Creek. He disappointed at Ascot and then fell at the first at Aintree. So if he's got over that, the step up and trip might help his jumping a bit, and the good ground shouldn't be a problem. He could run a decent race at a decent price. But if I'm looking for a winner, I honestly think Alberta's run. The 340 is the top one, which is run over the Grand National fences. And as always on this, I like to stick with horses that have done well over the fences before and tried and tested. And I think everything's set up for a big run from Frankie Fig. He's won this race before. He's also won at the Beecher Chase meeting, and he won 6th in this last year when he had a lot of pressure on the lead and just run out of it in the closing stages. He's £6 lower this year. I can't see that many on the pace, and he's got the experience of jumping around these fences. The one risk is he's fallen as many times as he's completed around here, but when he completes, he usually goes with it. He puts in a very good effort. He's not usually tailed off. So I'm quite happy to take 8 to 1 on Frankie Fig. Always waning his interest. He's going for the hat trick in this. But the fact that they took him out the Grand National to run in it suggests as well that they, well, for me, it suggests that they're not overly happy with the ground. So once again, he should run a great race, always waning, but that's a bit of a worry. Triangle has been the former horse going into this. He won very impressively last time out, but never tackled the fences. But Tom George knows how to ready a horse over these fences, so he could run well. And if you're looking for a big price, Montoya's Son looks fairly unexposed. It was a very easy winner at Newcastle last time, where the one thing that jumped out to me was his jumping. He's 33 to 1, and if taken to these fences, he could go very close. The 4:15 is another novice hurdle, and it's the return to mainstream action for Fingal Bay. Yes, remember, he was highly fancied for the Neptune hurdle, but pulled a hamstring about 3 or 4 weeks before the festival, and they actually said they might have got him there, but they didn't want to risk him. They wanted to wait for Aintree, and I think that speaks volumes. He'll be fresh going into it. He's had plenty of time since his last run, and I think 7 to 4 is a nice enough, fair enough price, to be honest. We won't say nice, but fair enough. The worry is here, a lot of his runs, including his last, have been on soft ground, so provided he handles the good ground, he should go very close. Cotton Mill was in the process of running a great race at Cheltenham before ducking out and running out at the second to last. It's always a worry for that, because I remember about 3 years ago, a very similar thing happened to a horse called Ebin Zaid, I think, or Ebin Zaid, and he never quite recovered that season from that, and that is the worry for Cotton Mill if it's left any psychological marks on him, really. And if you're looking for a big price horse, Love and Sen for Alan King, 12 to 1 tomorrow. He was left far too much to do at the festival, but stayed on very well. He could go very, very close. But I think Fingal Bay could be a very good bet there. And I think if you didn't have that injury, you'd be looking at an odds-on horse, but instead you're getting 7 to 4 for him. In the 4:50, the horse I like here is Bourne. He won very well 2 runs ago at Ascot, and I actually really fancied him to follow up at Cheltenham. He got battered around all race. He got stuck on the inside, and he came right back, battling away towards the last, and just tired on the run. And he was, as I said, it was the race of nightmares for him, really. He's 9 to 1 today. Obviously, for the McCain Yard in Liverpool, will be a very fancied winner. The race could be run to suit here. It's a slightly smaller field, and he could still be potentially very well handicapped. Interesting horse as well is At a Glance, who won at the festival and carries top weight today. A horse that did something very similar was Cape Tribulation today, and he won. And it's from the same yard. So don't be surprised if they've been basically kept for this end of season run. So I wouldn't discourage you from backing At a Glance at 14 to 1. The interesting horse here is It's a Gimme for John Drew O'Neill and McCoy. Now, it was 9 to 1 when I looked at it before. It's now into 6s. It's that typical John Drew O'Neill handicap plot that you often see come in at these big festival meetings. And he's got before me, won cozily last time. Wasn't impressive, but it's a case of, is that protecting the handicap mark? It could be, and I wouldn't discourage you from backing it. It's a very open race, though. And finally, in the 5:25, which is the bumper, the interesting one here is the first 3 in the market: Call Me a Star, Umadacha, and 11:15, were 1, 2, and 3 home in Sandown. So the risk here is, I suppose, if that form doesn't stack up too much, there could be something else lurking. Though I get the impression it could be a very good race. That Call Me a Star got a horrible ride on the all-weather meeting, all-weather, but the flat races for bumpers cards, basically, or bumpers for jumpers card Kempton came second. He then came out and won very nicely at Sandown. I actually did 11.15 that day, and I just don't think he fully saw the trip out. So I've got no reason to reverse the form here. I think Call Me a Star can get the better of Umadacha and 11.15 again this time. But if you're looking for something who might upset the party if that form's let down, have a look at Hidden Light. It's had one run in Ireland from the front and won very, very impressively on decent ground. Willie Mullins has got a horse in this, a bumper horse, but Ruby Walsh, ironically, with big, I think it's got a big point on it, is not riding that. And Willie Mullins is a bumper expert, if you ask me. He's going for this Hidden Light, so that could be a message in itself. But the proven form on the ground, the trip, and the comments from Alan King, he thinks he could be a horse for the future. This Call Me a Star, currently around 4-1, could be the horse to be on. So just as a recap, 2 o'clock, I think Prospect Wells each way. 2:35, I'd go for Champion Court. 3:05, probably Alberta's Run, I'd go with keeping a watchful eye on Pukelin and Corto Stone each way. 3:40, Frankie Fig and Always Waning. In the 4:15, I think Fingal Bay is a pretty good thing. In the 4:50, we're looking at Bourne, It's a Gimme and At a Glance. I wouldn't discourage you from backing a couple in that race because it's very competitive. And I think Call Me a Star could do the business in the last. Okay, I'll be doing probably another video on this tomorrow night where I'm going to do the final day, but I'm also going to do a separate video purely on the Grand National. I'm going to go through all 40 horses and give them a star rating. I think I'm going to do between 1 and 5 depending on what I think the chances are. Okay, I hope you're having a good Aintree and I hope you have another good day tomorrow, and I'll see you soon. Bye.